So kia ora, my name is Mike Jessop. I live here in beautiful sunny Nelson. Yeah, Papua New Guinea is sort of a family affair. So my grandparents went to Papua New Guinea when my dad and his siblings were a teenager. So my dad spent a couple of years over there and just really enjoyed the people and the place and loved it. Interesting, even though like I was going to help out, I guess, and to serve, I felt like I learnt more and was impacted more than the people I went to serve. You know, just big smiles and yeah, just happy running around and yeah. And so I was like, man, that's something we can learn, especially for myself, but here in New Zealand and in the West is like, so often we're fixed with material possessions and things that we don't often are grateful for what we have.
So Mike, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you for having me, yeah.
Thank you very much. So could you introduce yourself quickly? Can you tell us something about you, about where are you from, for example, where you grew up and what your childhood was like?
Yeah. So kia ora, my name is Mike Jessop. I live here in beautiful sunny Nelson. But I grew up down south in a small town called Balclutha, about an hour south of Dunedin. Grew up there with my family, so my mum and my dad and my 4 siblings. We all grew up very close together. Had a lovely childhood, yeah, loving parents and just lots of fun growing up together. I enjoy playing football as well as golf and a few other things. Yeah, and I'm currently working as a furniture mover for Van and a Man.
How would you describe what Christianity means to you?
My faith is quite a big part of my life. So I've sort of grown up in a Christian family and sort of known Jesus all my life. And yeah, my relationship with Jesus is very important to me. He's like a really close friend who I go and talk to. And yeah, I guess, yeah, it gives me a lot of hope and joy and peace. Yeah, and a lot of love too. I don't know where I'd be without Jesus.
When did you first start to feel like your faith was something real, something what shaped your life, not just a belief?
There's an interesting story about that. Yeah, so as I said before, I've sort of grown up in a Christian family, sort of read the Bible and heard all the stories and stuff. But when I was about 8 or 9, we used to do a thing called cross country, which is running around a paddock when you're a primary school to sort of see who's the fastest, I guess, like a running race, but sort of on like not on the road, in a paddock or over uneven terrain. And I used to be quite good, even as a little 7 or 8-year-old. I used to sort of win the events and stuff, and I remember it was coming up to the next year's one, and I was sort of feeling confident in myself. I was like, oh yeah, I can do this. I won last year, I'll win again. Sort of I'm praying hard and stuff. And I remember my mum telling me, don't be so cocky, I guess. Don't be so full of yourself. You never know, you might lose. And that was something that I was sort of a space for me to grow in, I guess, is grow into humility and stuff like that. I was a bit full of myself, I guess. And so that next year, I was about 9 years old, I think. We went to the cross country, and we started off with small schools, so like a small sort of like event to qualify for the main South Otago one, and only just qualified. I got like 5th out of I don't know how many, but the top 6 qualified. So I only just qualified, and then went to the sort of more regional one, and yeah, I got like 16th. So going from 1st to 16th in a year, I was like, man, what's happening? And as I was reflecting on it, I was sort of talking with God, and I felt like he'd sort of use this experience to humble me, to show me that I shouldn't be so confident and cocky and full of myself, but I should just sort of be grateful for how well I do, and sort of be thankful for the gifts I have, and not sort of strut around, I guess. So I was like, and that experience taught me, God's not actually just like in the stories and stuff, but he's actually in my life and helping form me into a better person and a more loving and caring person towards others. Yeah.
What it's like to live out of your faith as a young Christian in New Zealand?
Here in Nelson, it's pretty cool. I go to a local church, and there's quite a lot of young adults that are Christians. So we have quite a cool community. We can hang out and do events, have barbecues, or go to the beach, or so that's quite cool to have that community to sort of support one another and hang out. Yeah, and it's quite interesting where I work. There's lots of guys that come from all different walks of life, and so it's really cool having conversations with them, hearing where they're from. everyone's sort of pretty open to hearing about spirituality and faith and Christianity. Even if it's not their thing, they're like, oh yeah, that's cool for you, bro. We're happy to hear it, sort of thing. So yeah,
Mm.
no, for me, I think it's quite we're quite blessed to live in New Zealand. Where Christianity is quite open. There's churches pretty much in every town and things like that. Yeah, so it's pretty good.
Have you ever felt like your beliefs put you at odds with the culture around you?
Yeah, a wee bit. I suppose like in primary school and stuff, everyone knew I was a Christian, and they'd try and get me to swear, like to. They're like, "Oh, why don't you swear? Why don't you just say the S word or the F word or whatever?" And they'd sort of like push me a wee bit. So that was like a point that I remember being like, "No, no, I'm not going to swear. I'm gonna, you know, use good language, I guess." Yeah, but for the most part, yeah, normally there's not too much difference.
You have been to Papua New Guinea on mission trip. Can you tell us more about it? What drew you to it?
So, yeah, Papua New Guinea is sort of a family affair. So my grandparents went to Papua New Guinea when my dad and his siblings were a teenager. So my dad spent a couple of years over there and just really enjoyed the people and the place and loved it. And he got the opportunity to go back in 2014. He took a building trip to a remote rural hospital to build a classroom for the local school. And just fell in love with the place and the people again. And so he goes back regularly to do sort of mechanical maintenance work, fixing the outboard motors and generators and any sort of thing that breaks down, which is really awesome. And he wanted to take us as a family over. So when I was a teenager, I was about 16, we went over as a family, all seven of us for 6 weeks over the school holidays. And it was such an awesome place. Like the people are so loving and you can really sense there's a sense of peace and like good energy about the place. And it was over the school holidays, so a lot of the local kids were back from school, and we got to play lots of sports like handball and volleyball and football and things like that, basketball. Yeah, so it was just a really awesome time. And I was sort of coming to the end of my schooling years, and I didn't quite know what to do after school. I knew I didn't want to go to university straight away, but I didn't have any other sort of job or thing lined up, and so I was looking at my different options and over in Papua New Guinea at the hospital. They were looking at rebuilding it, and so they wanted some volunteers to go over and help. And so I was like, I'll go over for a gap year and spend a bit of time over there. And so I was helping in the supply and logistics, sort of getting in the building materials and preparing for the hospital rebuild.
What is something you have seen on those mission trips that really changed you?
Quite interesting. Even though like I was going to help out, I guess, and to serve, I felt like I learnt more and was impacted more than the people I went to serve. A few different things. The place where I was going, a lot of them they sort of live just above the poverty line, like sort of subsistence farming and gardening. But even though they have so little, like little material possessions and things, they're so happy and content with their lives. They're like, just big smiles and just happy running around and. And so I was like, man, that's something we can learn, especially for myself. But here in New Zealand and the West is like so often we're fixed with material possessions and things that like getting the next thing like a house or a boat or a holiday or something that we don't often are grateful for what we have. So that was one big thing. And another big thing for me is just adjusting to a different culture. I had quite a big culture shock going over there, coming from New Zealand where, sort of had a comfortable life, middle class family growing up and sort of had everything to going over there to, where electricity would sort of be on and off and, sort of we'd have cold showers and composting toilets and cooking over an open fire and things like that. Yeah, so lots of challenges in that way, but just being open to everything and to the adventure, I guess, of going to a different place and trying new things. It really helped me grow and challenged me in that way.
Have you learned something from the people you met there?
Being content with not much and being grateful for what they have, and like even like this idea of family or having a garden and a house to live in. Like they're so happy and content and joking about and stuff, and it's like a breath of fresh air and a real challenge to me to be grateful for what I have and to sort of be content where I am.
Could you share with us what was one of the most challenging things about serving there?
So the culture shock was quite a big thing. So I went from living with my family at home to sort of living in a dormitory with a bunch of other boys, where there'd be like rats running along the rafters in the ceiling, and yeah, we'd cook over an open fire. So like just eat lots of rice and fish. So quite a different diet as well. Yeah, composting toilets instead of flush ones, and just having a cold tap as a shower. Yeah, it was quite difficult to get used to. But also the change from school and stuff to full-time work, and I was sort of straight out of school and doing a job that I didn't have much experience for, so just learning as I go, and it was quite a big challenge for me. I sort of stepped into it, sort of the idea of sort of sink or swim. Like if you jumped into the deep end and you either sink or swim, and I didn't drown, but I was like definitely had a few struggles when I was swimming. Yeah, no, but yeah, just ordering lots of materials and the challenges that come with that from a remote place and sort of a developing country.
How did you actually get the opportunity to join the mission in Papua New Guinea, and how could someone else do the same?
I was fortunate enough through my dad to get in contact and things. But the place I went, Kapuna Hospital, they have a website, and on Facebook you can just contact them directly through that. There's also a really good missions organisation, the New Zealand Church Missionary Society, NZCMS, and they're really keen to work with people who are interested in going overseas and serving. So they're a good organisation to contact as well.
Yeah, you are about to go on another mission soon. Could you tell us something more about this mission and what's keeping you going?
Um, yeah, in about a month's time, I'm going to Uganda to serve over there. There's a really cool couple, Nick and Tessa. Nick's a doctor, and Tessa, she's also a doctor, but she works with social and sort of relational justice, so fighting for local tribes to keep their land and settling conflict disputes and things. And yeah, Nick's a doctor, so he runs lots of small health clinics in rural parts of Uganda. They've got like 50 to 100, I think, at the moment, all over the country, and they need lots of sort of support to keep them sort of running and getting more clinics. So I'll be going over there to help with the administration, logistics, and operations sort of side, just providing a bit of support in that area. Yeah, but I'm really excited about that. A new sort of place. I haven't been to Uganda before, so it'll be a really cool adventure. Yeah, really awesome people I'm going to serve with, and yeah, should be so good.
Do you have something what helps you stay grounded when life gets chaotic?
That's a good question. Yeah, for me, I find my faith really grounding for me. So my relationship with Jesus, and oftentimes in the morning, I try and have a bit of a space where I can just sort of like just sit down and take some deep breaths and sort of um, just sort of release my stresses and anxieties of the coming day or the day that's been, and yeah, just try and sort of be still and practice some sort of meditation, contemplative meditation with Jesus, sort of just, yeah, giving my stresses and worries to him and allowing him to sort of, yeah, fill me with peace and rest for the coming day. Yeah, I find that a really helpful space.
What advice would you give your 15-year-old self?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. When I was 15 and throughout high school, I was um, really worried about what I was going to do when I grew up. I was like, I need to have a plan. I need to have something sorted. And as the years have gone on, I realized that each year something different happens, and life's more about the journey and the people you meet along the way, and um, yeah, just living in the moment rather than having a plan and having a a clear path forward. Even though that's helpful at times, life doesn't often end that way. It will go that way. I know from my own life, there's been lots of ups and downs and changes in courses and stuff, and yeah, so my advice for my 15-year-old self would be don't worry about having it all figured out. Just, yeah, be present in the moment and enjoy where you are.
Do you
Yeah.
have something when do you feel most alive?
Yeah, yeah. I feel most alive when yeah, a couple of different spaces. When I'm worshiping in my faith, in my church context or whatever. Yeah, sort of it's quite an awesome space emotionally and spiritually to connect with God, and I feel most alive there when I'm like, sort of this is what I'm designed to do, to sort of sing and give praise and be thankful for life and for all that God's given me. And also with sport, I really enjoy running around and hanging out with mates. And so I'm most alive, yeah, playing football or golf and just connecting with mates and having a good time and running about. And yeah, it's heaps of fun.
What's the one truth you have learned the hard way?
Yeah, I think for me, one thing is I always thought if I like sort of tried hard enough or strived, did my best for something that it would work out. Um, and I've sort of learned over time. I sort of did a building apprenticeship that didn't quite work out how I'd hoped, and had a relationship that yeah, sort of broke down, unfortunately. And in both of those times, I sort of tried my hardest and tried my best to sort of make it work out. And despite my best efforts, it didn't quite work. And so I guess just yeah, and that was quite tough for me because I was like, oh, surely it just means I didn't try hard enough or I wasn't good enough. But the hard thing I learned was that yeah, that even if I try my best, sometimes things don't work out, and that's okay. You know, we sort of just learn from what's happened um, and and sort of yeah, try our best to sort of yeah, grow and yeah, continue to work going forward, I guess, and yeah, sort of positively reflecting on it to sort of learn lessons and stuff, but not dwelling on it.
What's your biggest dream in life? Do you have some dream?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I've sort of been trying to be content where I am. So I guess my dream in life is just to be the most sort of happy, positive, loving person I can be wherever I am, whether it's here in Nelson or Uganda or Papua New Guinea, and just yeah, being able to show the love of God to those around me and create a better life and better place on this earth than when I left it.
Do you have a favorite quote or a Bible verse, and what does it mean to you?
There's a lot of good quotes and verses in the Bible. I think one that stands out to me is in Philippians chapter 2, where it's talking about having a mindset that's sort of like selfless and loving and stuff towards others. Because Jesus had that mindset for us when he came to earth. Even though he was God and could do anything he wanted, he sort of made himself a servant, humbled himself, and yeah, and sort of came and served and lived among us, and even died for our sins. And that means a lot to me as someone who wants to be like Jesus, to sort of love and sort of serve others and be selfless. That's sort of what I'm trying to do when I go on missions to Uganda or Papua New Guinea, and even here in Nelson with my work and my life and my friendships. I sort of want to be someone who loves and serves others.
What is the biggest challenge you have ever faced, and how did you deal with it?
And I'll share my building experience. So I was hoping to become a builder because it's a really good practical skill for work here in New Zealand and in developing countries. And I thought, you know, if I just tried hard enough and tried to do all the right things, that it'll work out. And even though I tried my best and would go to work each day, you know, ready to work hard and do my best, it didn't quite work out. It didn't come naturally to me, the building, and so I had to learn, yeah, that one of the biggest challenges was I was finding my identity in what I did. I used to try and do things well and be quite a perfectionist, and and I found out I couldn't do that with building, and so I had to change where I found my identity from what I did to who I am as a person and who God's created me and how He loves me. Yeah, and so that was quite a big challenge and took a lot of yeah sort of personal reflection and counseling and stuff to come to that space. Yeah.
If you would have one advice to the world, what would it be?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, I think just one advice I have for like relationships with others is always like go into a conversation or an interaction with someone else, thinking that they're giving their best, and sort of trying to be empathetic. I find that really helpful for my own life. In any situation I find, and you know when I'm like furniture moving, sometimes people are stressed and stuff. But it's like you still, even if they're stressed and like maybe a bit short or a bit upset, you know, you still think, oh, they're giving their best. Like even in the moment, they're really stressed, but they're giving their best, and so I need to sort of honor that and, yeah, sort of be loving, even if they're not going to quite reflect that.
Like coffee or tea?
Yeah, for me, I'm more of a coffee drinker. I've already had two today. That's why I've got a tea now. But I do drink tea as well. So
Beach
yeah.
holiday or mountain escape?
Beach holiday. I live in Nelson. We have nice beaches. And I'm sort of yeah quite close to Tahuna Nui, so love going out there and spending time. Yeah.
Solo road trip or travel with friends?
I'll definitely travel with friends. You need someone on the music and someone to provide good banter and stuff. Yeah.
Solitude or community?
I think both are important. But yeah, so I try and do both. I live in a really cool community flat. We have dinners and stuff together, but also spending time by myself to sort of ground myself and yeah.
Comfort or growth?
Uh, I probably like to sit in comfort too much, but yeah, definitely want to lean towards growth and growing. Yeah.
Heart or mind?
Growing up, I was definitely mind. I was definitely like very like practically minded and sort of thinking things through rather than emotions. More recently, I've tried to grow into the emotions and sort of the heart a bit more. Yeah.
Safety or adventure?
Oh, definitely adventure. I love going, visiting new places, meeting new people. Yeah. Yeah.
Saying everything or letting silence speak?
I like to let silence speak and sort of, yeah, sit with feelings and thoughts rather than just speaking what's on your mind.
Knowing where are you going or enjoying not knowing?
Yeah, growing up, I need to know where I'm going. I need to have a plan. But I'm sort of been leaning more into the not knowing. And it's been a challenge, but cool. Hmm.
Early mornings with prayer or late nights with reflection?
Definitely early mornings with prayer. Yeah, I'm asleep by like 9 or 10 at night. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mike, for sharing your story and for answering my questions. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Elijah. I really appreciate this opportunity to share, and yeah, thank you for hitting me up.